Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to shift gears a bit. We're moving away from the purely technical and diving into the human heart of medicine.
Yeah.
Our mission is to really understand the journey, the day-to-day emotional reality of a practicing physician, specifically a cardiologist with over 15 years of experience.
That's right. And it's such a vital perspective because this touches everyone. At some point, we're all patients.
Absolutely. We're looking past the prescriptions to really understand the person providing the care.
And our sources give this really sharp, unvarnished look at the commitment it takes to be someone's guide through some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives.
So let's start right at the beginning. I
Mhm.
mean, with all the scientific paths you could take, what pulls someone toward this intense commitment of medicine? Our sources point to a really powerful early influence. Your mother's a nurse.
She was, yeah. And that foundation was everything. The sources detail how our dinner conversations were never really about procedures.
Right.
They were about patients as people. The focus was on their fears, their families, their lives. It gave me this very early sense of the incredible trust people place in their caregivers.
So it was this intersection then between this deep human need and a kind of scientific curiosity.
Exactly. It was a dual pull.
Yeah.
On one hand, I was just fascinated by the science, how the body works, how these microscopic things have macroscopic effects.
Right.
But medicine was the only field that let me apply that curiosity directly to, to service, to helping someone navigate what might be the worst day of their life.
Okay, let's unpack this because before you can merge that curiosity and that compassion, you have to survive this immense journey of medical training.
It is. It's arguably one of the most demanding training structures there is.
Yeah.
It kicks off with 4 years of med school, which is basically a fire hose of information.
Right. The fundamentals.
All of it.
Yeah.
Anatomy, physiology, pathology. You're learning the language of the body.
Mm.
And you start seeing patients, but, under heavy supervision.
But the sources really stress that the true seismic shift happens after that, when you graduate to residency.
That's the transformation. That's where you go from being a student who knows the material to a doctor who is responsible for the patient.
So the weight is different.
Completely. Even with supervision, that decision in the middle of the night,
Right.
it falls on you. It's where theory becomes this very acute practice, often with grueling hours. You're confronting vulnerability on a level you just can't prepare for.
And that reality, those hours, it's often so different from the public's image of the job. I mean, for someone with 15 years in, is there even such a thing as a typical day?
No. The sources are emphatic about that. There is no typical day.
Really?
You might start with routine clinic visits, adjusting medications, and then an hour later you're in an emergency delivering a devastating diagnosis you did not see coming.
That sounds like an emotional marathon. You're giving good news in one room.
A clear scan, a successful treatment.
And then you have to walk into the next room and deliver heartbreaking news. How do you even compartmentalize that kind of whiplash every single day?
That is the emotional labor. You're trained intensely to be composed. You have to be. If the doctor panics, the whole situation falls apart.
But that composure isn't detachment, is it?
No, not at all.
Oh.
And the physician was so clear on this. Doctors feel deeply, but you learn how to manage those feelings to do your job. You carry those experiences with you, the losses and the wins.
And that intensity probably feeds into some of the common misconceptions about doctors, doesn't it?
For sure. The first, and maybe the biggest, is this idea that doctors are an answer machine.
That they have all the answers all the time.
Exactly. That we have this absolute certainty. But the reality is that medicine is, it's full of uncertainty. We make decisions based on the best available information, but there's rarely a single guaranteed right answer.
But that must be so hard. A patient comes to you and they're looking for that certainty. They need it. How do you manage that pressure when you know you can't provide it?
It's a bit of a tightrope walk. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be transparent. The job isn't to deliver the answer, it's to weigh the probabilities, discuss the risks, and make a decision together. It's a conversation.
Which sort of breaks down that old model of the detached, all-knowing doctor.
It's crumbling, yeah. And that ties right into that second misconception,
Yeah,
the cold or distant physician.
right.
The appearance of detachment is often just a necessary strategy.
Right.
If you let the raw emotion of every situation overwhelm you, you can't function. It's not a lack of feeling, it's a boundary.
And that relationship has changed so much, hasn't it? I mean, with the internet, patients are no longer just passive recipients of information.
Oh, dramatically. Patients come in far more informed now,
Yeah.
sometimes with excellent information, sometimes not so much.
Yeah.
So the doctor's role has shifted. You're not the sole authority anymore. You're more of a guide. You're helping people interpret what they found online, sorting good science from bad, and making a decision together. Medicine really does work best when it's a partnership.
And for any partnership to work, communication is key.
It's paramount.
Mm.
And the experts stress that listening is maybe the most central but most neglected skill. They had this powerful line, the diagnosis is hidden in the patient's story.
I love that.
If you rush, if you interrupt, you risk missing the one little thing,
Yeah.
a tiny detail about their life, or an unusual symptom that just unlocks the entire puzzle.
Can you give us an example of how that might play out?
Sure. Think of someone coming in with shortness of breath. The textbook path sends you to test the heart, the lungs. But if you just listen to the story, the patient might say, this only started after we moved into our new apartment, and suddenly, boom.
A whole new avenue opens up.
Exactly. Environmental exposure may be something you'd never find with a routine scan. It just proves the value of being present.
That puts so much pressure on keeping up, though. How does a doctor stay current in a field that just doesn't stand still? Especially with those kinds of hours.
It's not a luxury. It's
Yeah.
survival. It means reading a ton of medical journals, going to conferences, but also just talking to your peers,
Okay.
discussing tough cases, sharing new findings. You basically treat every single interaction as a chance to learn something.
And technology, of course, has been a huge driver of change.
Oh, absolutely. Things like electronic medical records, EMRs, have transformed the administrative side.
Yeah.
Imaging tech like high-res MRIs or echocardiograms, heart ultrasounds, basically have made diagnostics incredibly precise.
But the sources also carry a bit of a warning about relying too much on tech.
They do. The tech is just a tool, and the warning from the physician was powerful. A screen should never be more important than the person sitting in front of you.
That's a great line.
The worry is that the demands of the EMR, all the data entry and billing codes, can pull your attention away from the patient. You end up looking at a screen instead of the person, and you might miss the very thing you need to see.
And that administrative load plus the emotional strain. It brings us right back to physician burnout. What's driving that crisis?
It's this trifecta, really. The long hours, the constant emotional strain, and then this huge compounding administrative burden. It can turn a highly skilled physician into an overwhelmed data manager.
And the advice for coping exercise, family time, it sounds so simple, but how hard is it to actually set those boundaries in that kind of high-stakes environment?
It's incredibly difficult. Your job, by its nature, involves emergencies. It involves being responsible for outcomes. So trying to set boundaries means you're fighting against the culture and your own commitment to your patients. It's a constant battle.
So it requires a cultural change.
A huge one. And it is happening, thankfully, slowly. There's much more awareness now that, doctors need care too.
Let's shift a bit now to your specific area of expertise, cardiology. Of all the systems in the body, why spend 15 years focused on the heart?
The heart is just. It's described as extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
It's this incredible blend of engineering and, well, poetry.
How so?
It's mechanical, right? A pump.
Yeah.
It's electrical. All about timing signals.
Mm.
And yet, it's so deeply symbolic. It's central to our human experience. And on a practical level, cardiovascular disease is just so common, so specializing here, gives you this huge opportunity to make a real impact.
So what does a typical day look like for a cardiologist then, if there is one?
Right. Well, it's a balance of the chronic and the acute. A lot of the day is clinic visits, managing long-term conditions like high blood pressure or heart failure, interpreting tests, adjusting medications.
And the acute side.
That's the high-stakes stuff in the hospital. Managing a heart attack, dealing with a severe rhythm problem. It's that constant switch between long-term management and life-or-death moments.
What are the most common things you see walking through the door?
Oh, the big ones that affect millions. High blood pressure, coronary artery disease, that's the narrowing of the arteries, heart failure, and rhythm disorders, especially atrial fibrillation or AFib.
With chronic conditions like those, prevention has to be the foundation.
It is the foundation. The physician couldn't stress this enough. Lifestyle factors, diet, exercise, stress management are incredibly powerful. They're the bedrock. The medication manages the disease, but lifestyle changes can actually attack the root cause.
So if there's one thing you wish everyone listening understood about their heart health, what would it be?
It's simple, and it's so important. Small changes matter.
I like that.
People get paralyzed by this idea that they have to achieve perfect health overnight, a perfect diet, this insane exercise plan, and so they do nothing.
Right, the all or nothing trap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the truth is, consistent, manageable habits, taking a walk every day, cutting back on sugar just a little, those things can dramatically reduce your risk over time. You don't need perfection. You just need consistency.
That is such a relieving and actionable piece of advice. So finally, after 15 years of dealing with life and death daily, what are the moments, the highs and lows, that really stay with you?
The rewards are just immense. Seeing someone recover from a major heart attack, watch them go back to their family and, regain their life. That's why you do the work.
And the losses.
The losses are unavoidable. They're heavy. The key is to acknowledge them, to learn from every single case, and to remember that being present still matters, even when outcomes aren't what we hope for. Just being there for a patient and their family in those final moments, that is still part of the service.
That really distills it, doesn't it? The drive toward both science and service. So to recap for you, what we've unpacked is this seismic mindset shift during residency, the new collaborative role of the modern doctor, and this incredible power of small preventative habits.
Which leads to that final piece of advice for anyone looking at this field. You have to be drawn to both the science and the service. And you can never let the technology or the paperwork get in the way of seeing the human being behind the diagnosis. That patient's story is the most important piece of data you will ever get.
If the diagnosis is truly hidden in the patient's story, then maybe the most advanced piece of medical technology we have is just a doctor's capacity for uninterrupted listening.
So as you go about your day, think about this. What are you doing in your own life to make sure you hear the hidden story, whether it's in your own health or in the relationships that matter most to you? Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.